Welcome to the Socality show. My name is Chloe Chapdelaine, and this is my first episode that I am hosting with you guys, so I am so excited to be on. Today we have two lovely guests who are also team members of Socality here with us today. Introduce yourself, Braden.
Hi, I'm Braden. What did you want me to introduce myself as?
Tell us about you. What do you do?
I am the events manager at Socality, so I do anything from managing the in-person events as well as the events online. That's kind of my role here at Socality.
Cool. And then we've got Scott.
Hey, I'm Scott. I founded Socality and I've been working with it ever since it was born and building community out there, creating, meeting people. And yeah, it's been an awesome journey.
Absolutely. And so Scott and Braden are really talented creators themselves, aside for what they do for Socality. They both have social media. They're both photographers, and they're both really good people to talk about trends.
Yes, we love the trends.
We love the trends.
We love the trends.
So before we dive in and start talking about trends, I thought we would talk about what type of content you produce personally, what kind of niche you're in. Why don't we start with you, Scott?
Yeah, sure. So I create lifestyle and, adventure photography reels. I love to showcase hotels, properties, experiences, bucket list destinations and experiences. I love doing that. And I mainly active on Instagram, TikTok. I have a website that I like to share a little bit more imagery on. And I just started a podcast. And so,
Exciting.
I just love creating content and meeting people, connecting with people. So that's what I do.
That's amazing. And Braden?
Mostly used to post on Instagram my photography and some commercial work, some portraits, and then I went and I took a hiatus from Instagram for a while, and then I went back and started taking a lot of film photos and posting my film photography, and then kind of took another hiatus because I've had an interesting relationship with social media. I've been on, I've been off, and then recently this year decided to try my hand at TikTok and that as like a new kind of creative outlet. So I've been posting on TikTok a little more.
And how's that going for you?
I think it was a lot more work than I anticipated. I originally went into it thinking like, oh, this is just going to be me posting goofy videos of life or whatever. And I think there's a lot more strategy to it than I originally thought, but it's been really cool to try and, I don't know, it's a new beast, I guess, to try
Absolutely.
to understand. Yeah.
Scott and I know all too well because we both use TikTok all the time.
I know.
A little bit about my content. I have an Instagram account where I post lots of travel photos. I also have a TikTok where I do more personality-based videos, lifestyle stuff. And I'm also a recent podcast host being here today. And Chappy Hour Podcast, but we can edit that part.
No, plug it. We got to plug all the stuff.
It's true. And so I want to dive in and start talking about trends because you cannot go on social media without being introduced to and consuming trends. And the word trend is thrown around, but I feel like first we need to talk about what is a trend. How do you identify a trend? What does it look like? Let's just start.
Yeah, I have a lot of angst towards this topic in good ways and bad ways because I'm, been around the block longer than you guys have. Yep. I've seen trends come and go and come back again. Like the Birkenstock. I remember when I was buying Birkenstocks when I was 18, wearing baggy jeans and oversized sweatshirts. And now they're back again.
It's back. I'm wearing them.
You're wearing them. I'm looking at the younger version of me and I'm thinking, should I do that again? Because I already did it. Yes. And then, of course, Doc Martens. I was wearing them when I was 16. Now everyone's about Docs again.
I know, I've got them too.
Yes, you do. The Docs are back. So when it's something for me, when I see these things, I'm like, okay, wait. Been there, done that. But then I'm like, should I get in with that trend again? Should I do that again? But I also think trends are designed for one reason, and it's to sell things. Because who's setting these trends? Who's setting these trends? It's not like all of a sudden young kids just go, I'm going to wear baggy jeans. It's like, I think that the higher ups come up with these things because they're like, we've sold skinny jeans, but what else can we make? People have got skinny jeans. We need them to buy more jeans. Well, how will they buy more jeans? Buy jeans that you don't have.
There's got to be some of that.
You like fitted hoodies. Now it's about oversized hoodies with drop shoulders, but you don't have that, so now you got to buy that. And then what do? You give this to the young TikTokers and say, wear this, and then everyone's like, I got to get with the. Remember when the girls were saying the side part was over?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all about. You got the middle part.
I know the middle part is all that's in right now. I was a side part person until I was told that I was out of fashion. So.
Right. Right?
Yeah, I had to change it.
It got you to like, I know like my daughter right now is all about Sephora and like these trends with the skincare. You've talked about this.
I have.
Right? The white elephant. Was it white?
The drunk elephant. Yeah.
Yes.
There's all different
the skin glow.
skincare brands like the watermelon dewdrops from...
But these things are trends, but they're designed for one reason. It's to sell things. Because if there's nothing new to sell, then what do? You've got to create a trend to make people adopt new habits. And so you can obviously increase spending. And so all these things, it's just not like, so for me, trends, one, what is it? I think they're designed to sell things to make you feel like you're behind. And so in order to keep up or stay relevant, you have to get with the trends. This is why advertisers focus on 18 to 49-year-olds, because 65-year-olds don't care about trends because they're like, old, leave us alone. Just leave us
do whatever they want.
We don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But young people, we feel the pressure to be always up, right? So we give into the trend. So a trend to me is something that's designed to sell, to make you feel relevant. And trends always come back and around again. So you got to watch for these trends. So how do you find a trend? Being on social media, seeing what the young kids are doing, you know, what's popping off, what's working. You watching advertise. You walk down a shop, you know what I mean? And you can see in the store windows certain styles that are repeated. Like everyone's got their own version of the drop hoodie or whatever like that.
Yeah, because when we're talking about digital trends and we're moving specifically to TikTok, or Reels is really big on Instagram right now, especially if you're looking for growth. There are trends in lots of different ways, but audio is one of the biggest ways that you can find something that is trending, because there will be repeated audios that while you're scrolling your feed, you're seeing it again and again and again. And oftentimes they'll have an existing video that is fitting, or they'll have a style of video that fits that type of music, and people are trying to repeat that, or whether it's repeating like the video, say it's an ocean video and it's always an ocean video with a specific type of audio. Maybe it's a certain type of way you're shooting your video, maybe it's a specific dance, but digital trends are something that are really interesting, and I want to really dive into that section. So what are different segments of digital trends that you are seeing online? So for example, we've got audios. Audios can be a trend in themselves. What else are you kind of seeing?
Yeah, like I think that, like going back to what I was saying about trends are designed to sell things or bring inclusion of or make you feel part of a story.
Yes.
So digital trends would be the exact same thing. The concept or the theory that I think that is going behind any of that is to bring people into, get them to join a movement or join the story. So if you're sitting there thinking, I want to get active on TikTok or Instagram, what's the best way to do it? Well, you join a trend because you want to be included. Because if you join a trend, you're searchable, you're found. Because a lot of these trending audios or dances go along with, you know, if there's a big dance, like, okay, Beyonce dropped her new song and everybody's doing the Texas Hold'em or whatever it's called. Then if you do that, there's a chance that you could be seen or found or heard. And the algorithm wants to push those things to get you to respond to trends. So it's a way, I think, to get you to activate social content creation, to create, to not be just a consumer, to be a participator, to be a contributor, and also at the same time to make you feel included. Because if you do a trend, you might find somebody else who does a trend, you might connect with them, follow them, engage with them, and it just puts you in the bigger story.
Yeah, so Braden, you're starting on TikTok, and one thing I've seen you do really well on TikTok is identifying emerging trends and starting to use them. What is your main purpose when you are finding a trend and trying to use it?
Honestly, I think like it comes down to me just trying to find content I like to create. And a lot of times I'm scrolling through and I'll see something that's like a lot of people are doing, and I'm like, that resonates with me. It's like a trend that resonates with my style or something that I like to shoot, or even surrounding like a subject I like to shoot. If it's a fashion trend or if it's a food trend, that's like kind of my take on it. A lot of times I'm not looking for like, oh, like what trends are taking off to like what's going to explode my account. It's just something that like the trends are, I'm trying to find trends that will relate back to something that I will enjoy creating.
I think that's super valuable, is knowing when to connect a trend that is something that you want to be doing personally versus when you're doing a trend just to be trying to fit into the trend, whether it's to go viral or just to
But trends come
like everybody else.
The whole thing about a trend is it's to get things to move along, you know, because you are only as relevant as the current trend, which is going back to my earlier thought, is it wants to keep you moving. That's the thing, keep you creating, keep you contributing, because if all of a sudden you do the trend and then you're like, oh man, that got me some good engagement, I'm looking for the next trend. And then when you see it, you jump on it. When you see the next trend, you jump on it. And that's how you get early adopters. That's how you get people to participate, because then there's your people who go, I don't want any part of it. And those are the people that don't contribute anyway, and they just peace out. So I do think trends are designed to move things along, which is how apps get growth. Like you jumped on TikTok because you thought, I'm going to try my hand at something new. And you thought maybe there's a space for me here to grow. And one way for you to do that is to contribute in a way that you find connects you with like-minded people.
Totally.
So one thing that I've had a lot of people approach me personally about is they say that they want to jump on trends, but they don't even know where to start. They don't know how to find what's trending. They don't know how to save the existing trends that they're finding and remember them for later. And I kind of want to talk about your guys' personal process for if there's a trend that you feel like you identify with and you want to jump on. How are you finding that? How are you thinking, like, I want to save this? Like, are you putting it into a bank and revisiting it later? Are you immediately acting on it? How does that workflow go for you personally?
I think for me, it comes down to the length of time it's going to take me to create it. Like just from a practical level, if I'm scrolling, I'm seeing something a lot and I come across something that I'm like, I just saw that 6 times on my timeline. I can record that in 30 seconds and post it. Like, I'm just going to do that. Yeah. If it's something that's going to take a little longer to create, I have like a save folder that's called like to make. And like, so I just put it in there. And then usually, honestly, like a lot of times I have more time to create content on the weekend. So on the weekend, I'm going through that folder and being like, what's in the folder that I can take some time to create? But sometimes the problem with that is that you like end up missing some of the trends. It's like I go back to it and it's been even 5-6 days and it's like I'm not seeing that anymore. I don't know if it's
goes back to relevant. What Scott was saying. When it's causing you to move along, you got to act on it pretty fast. What about you, Scott? How do you do this?
Which is an indicator that trends are really designed for younger people because they have the most time on their hands, right? As well as older people who have kids and all that can't always be on the latest trends. So these things are designed for the people with the most time to contribute. For me, what I'm looking for, it depends what I'm looking for.
Okay.
So if I'm looking for trending audio, I'll scroll the Reels tab. Like I'll hit the Reels tab and I'll just scroll and I'll find what songs or what emotive or whatever. And if something strikes me, I save it. I save it right away, save the audio, or I might see something that resonates with me with an emotion, and I save that as well because I think like if I see cool text or I see something like that creates a moment, I think I want to save this for inspo. And then if I'm looking to post something in the next day or two, I'm looking for a song or a sound that would contribute, that would fit my video, that I know that this is like exactly the moment. So if it's trending audio, I'm scrolling. If it's inspiration, I'm scrolling, just saving that to my Instagram folder. And then thinking maybe I'll do this one down the market, but I start to just scroll and just see what the app is feeding me.
Yeah.
And knowing that if the app's feeding me that, it's probably going to feed that to my audience.
Yeah, that I can really connect with that with both of you guys because that's something that I do as well a lot is I consume in order to find trends. And one thing that I'll sometimes even do, and I don't know if this actually helps or not, but I'll close out the app completely. Like I'll fully shut down my Instagram or my TikTok and I'll go back into the app and I'll see the very first videos that it's giving me. Because I feel like that is what the app's algorithm is pushing to users right away. And so I'm like, that's probably something that I'd want to hop on. It might be good. And then if it resonates with me, maybe I'll create a video that is inspired by that.
Just mean like you like open up the app and the first couple videos that it shows you?
Yeah,
okay,
I will. And then another thing I do sometimes too, while I'm saving these videos is I'll look, for example, at first of all, if it's a trend, I'll look at how many videos have been created around that trend because sometimes it's an emerging trend and there's only a few videos and that kind of goes into signals, which was mentioned by Mike and Mitzi on your recent chat with them. But same with audios, I'll go in and see how many videos have been created using that audio. If there's a ton of videos, say there's like 1 million videos created with an audio, maybe I won't use it because that trend is that's full, like it's at capacity. But maybe if it's an emerging one, do you ever do that with audios where you notice that an audio maybe hasn't been used a ton, like under 10,000 views or something?
If it's low and then you go, if I use this, it could maybe push me as more of an authority in that space, because I do think that if you get on it too late, people have moved on. And it's like, you got to be on the front foot. Like, it's like either you're early or you're right in the pocket, but late, it's like, it's over. You've missed the party.
I do that on Instagram, but there's no really way to do that on TikTok. Is there to like see how many people are using a sound?
Yes.
Okay.
There are.
I'm learning.
I'll show you how after this. I'll show you how after
this.
this. But say you're scrolling and you found a trend that you want to participate in.
Yes.
Okay. Like, when should you use that trend?
First of all, I have to ask myself, does that fit my content?
Yes.
Like, is this actually in the realm of what I create? So if it's emotive or it's a storytelling or it's cinematic or if it feels like whatever. I'm not like a skit guy. So if I see skits, I'm not all of a sudden just going to put a towel on my head and start doing a skit. Even though I might recognize that that's a trend, it's not a trend for me. So I think people have also got to define what are the trends for them and for their audience and their style, and be able to know what are the trends for them and what are the trends not for them, because that's important too. Like, obviously, I'm not going to do the latest dance because that would just be ridiculous. Not because dancing is ridiculous, but because I would be ridiculous dancing. And
I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
Well,
I really would.
So it's about knowing what trends suit you and what you can do. Like, obviously, if I see trends that are highly like outdoors or like, emotive or storytelling, those feel right to me.
Definitely.
And music that feels like it stirs an emotion, I love that. So yeah, it's knowing what is for you and not for you.
Yeah. So how do you personally, is there a way that you can make a trend your own? Is there like a thought process for that? Because I know that a massive risk for people using trends that lots of people experience is looking like everybody else. And that can be really good in some ways if you're wanting to get more eyes on you and you're just hoping to go viral. But at the same time, you can also just risk looking like you're doing what every single other person is doing. How do you make trends your own?
I think like I haven't really explored this idea myself in my content, but I really resonate with the idea of like taking the time to think about how you can make something your own. I know like recently I did that trend on TikTok where it was like all this work and what did it get me?
Yeah.
And I did think about before I posted, I was like, everybody's just doing the like face, like they're just recording their face and then mouthing the words. And I was like, what if I like videoed myself all over like the office in an empty office? Cause mine was about like an empty office. And I was like, I wonder if that would perform better or if it would perform worse, because you're supposed to like, when you do the trend, or like that was definitely a thought that I had. I was like, I don't know if it's good to differentiate yourself or whether people want to see like the same take on it. I can assume it's probably they want to see your own take on it, but
yeah, I think there's huge value in doing your own take on it, because at the end of the day, a trend starts because somebody did something different. Like you can't start a trend without doing something that's not already a trend. If we did the same trend forever and ever, there would be no trends. Do you know what I mean? And so by making it your own, I think that it can even create a spark where other people start taking inspiration from that. And I think that it also sets you apart, and it can be good. Absolutely. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like the thing, once again, trend is all about being ready in the moment, and being able to get that content to market fast. And some content is more consuming to create. But sometimes I look at a trend and go, what content do I already have that I could really re-edit or make this into a trend? Because sometimes it's about, maybe you see a plane air wing, like, movement, and then show your 10 best photos. Well, I already have photos in my photo reel. So I could jump on a trend like that really quickly because I already have the assets for that. So sometimes it's like just thinking creatively, like, do I need to create something new, or do I already have this existing content that could fit in this format? And sometimes those are the trends that I've got on quickest, because I'm like, I've got that already, and so I'm just like, I can get that, throw it up, and just throw it into the social media universe.
Definitely. So I want to talk about how you can leverage trends to direct people maybe to your other content, or say you have a brand to get people to check out your brand, or how can you leverage trends to meet your goals in ways other than just getting views on your page?
Say you are invited to do a tourism opportunity, and you can think about, okay, here's my content, it's whatever, but you could also look at trends that are in that outdoor travel space that could fit in that moment. Maybe it's an audio or whatever, okay, I can actually apply this right here, right now. This makes sense. So maybe that in that moment pushes your content out more, and you get more views on that, and the tourism board is happy, and they're like, yay, this did so well, because you were intentional about thinking about how can I get the most from this content right here, right now. And so it could be like, if you're in an opportunity or you're creating for a brand, you might go, whatever, like it depends if you're trying to create evergreen content, but if you're just trying to create viral content that's responsive in the moment, it's about understanding the songs and all that. And it's just, you really have, which is one of the hard things, is you have to really be engaged on these apps. You have to be watching, it's like looking out the window for the storm. You have to be watching the signs and the clouds and the sounds and whatever, what's going on. You have to kind of know it all and then go, I'm ready to hit in this moment. And so, yeah.
And when you talk about going viral, I want to chat a little bit more about that and dive into that. Why would you want to go viral other than for just having eyes on your page? Like, why would you want to go viral?
I mean, there's good and bad to going viral. One, it obviously increases eyes and then can push out growth. So I think growth is the biggest thing, getting new audiences. But with viral, you can also get the wrong people that come for you and they start, just aggressively attacking you, goes viral for the wrong reasons where they don't understand your intent and then it gets misconstrued and now you're all of a sudden an apology to her. So you really want to make sure that whatever content you're creating, if it goes viral for the right reasons. And the main reason to go viral is, I think, social media growth that leads you or pushes you out to new markets. That's what I hope would why people would want to go viral.
What would you say are the reasons to go
Definitely.
viral?
I would say there's lots of reasons that you might want to go viral other than just feeling popular. And it's something that I feel like I've gotten really good at. Like now I can kind of predict if a video is going to go viral based on factors like the audio, if it's trending in any way. Some of my biggest videos that have got like 50+ million views are trends. And I think that what you can do is use trends to direct people to your evergreen content. If you're creating evergreen content, I think that trends are a really valuable tool to tell people, I have more than just this video. So if you're using a trend, you can include in your caption, say, this is just the beginning or whatever, like do something that directs people to literally just go and see your other stuff. For example, I had a hair video that was not a trend video. It was like me talking about my hair for 4 minutes. People typically, like, that's not something that lots of people would find very catchy or interesting unless you really want to learn about that. But there was a trending audio and I made a video where it was like a 4-second video, like the quickest little video to a trending audio where I said, when you find out something about whatever hair product. And then in my caption, I said, I'll teach you how to use it in my previous video. And that video went crazy viral. And initially the 4-minute video got no views, but when the other video, my little trend 4-second video went viral, so many people went and checked out my previous video that it made that other video blow up. And so I think that trends are super valuable for directing people to your content that does contain value if you frame it correctly.
Yes.
Right.
But if not, there might also be zero conversion, like you were saying.
Right.
Sometimes people completely don't understand your intentions or the type of content you're creating, and you just go viral and that's it.
I think it works really well too for like small businesses, like coffee shops or businesses that are, or clothing stores that are in smaller areas that might want to get on the map. And they think, okay, how can we do non-traditional marketing? Well, a great way would be to engage your staff or whatever and think about the trends and do a trend each day on TikTok or Instagram that then helps people discover your brand. And it might be like, that coffee shop is the new go-to coffee shop because I've seen them on my page or and all of a sudden you now are in business or you're selling your product or something, maybe you do, products that you send out or ship out, like you have hard goods and you want to sell them. It could really expose or grow your business. And I do think for people that are thinking, how do I get my voice heard? You've got to be a little more intentional about getting on the trends.
Yeah. And talking more about like, why do you want trends? I have a lot of reasons why I can talk about why trends can be super valuable, especially if they are used to go viral. So I'll go through my list because I've got a lot of
Take us through.
Okay. The very first one is relevancy.
Yes.
And personality signaling, even just telling people, look, I'm on top of it. I am popular. Like I am doing exactly the cool thing right now. Like it's just basically to show that you are relevant. And I think for, especially like you were saying, small businesses, brands, that can be really important to show that they're up to date, that they're, it makes you feel like you're a part of a community, which is also something that you were mentioning. Another thing you can do is that what I just previously talked about, redirect. So you can use a trend to redirect people to your more valuable content potentially, or tell them, go check out this other stuff, or redirect them, go check out my podcast, go check out my online store. I think that you can really use trends to redirect people places because they're likely going to get eyes on them. I think you can also use trends to educate people. In a way, like you're not going to be able to tell them the whole story, but you might be able to educate the people on like, this is my brand, for example. So like, say you had like a 6-second trending audio and the audio is like lots of people like showing something that they're having fun with. If your whole content is about hiking in the mountains and you create a video to that audio of you hiking in the mountains saying like, this is what I do, this is what I love. People, and it gets views, people are going to say, oh, this is a good account to follow for hiking content. And so they will immediately know like, I'm educated a little bit more on hiking content, and I can go check out more of this person's page for that. Obviously, it can increase your viewership because trends are very community focused. Like people want to jump on a trend to feel like they're a part of a community a lot of the time. For example, this is a fashion trend, but like right now, the color red is really in fashion.
Okay.
Like red tights. And so I feel like if I were wearing red tights and I saw another girl who was wearing red tights, I'd be like, oh, she gets it. You know, like she's
it connects you to other people.
Yeah, it helps you connect with other people. And I think that even though that really works in person, I think it also works online a lot. But finally, if you have a trend video that you want to create and it doesn't fit any of those previous things, you can create a trend just to entertain people or to entertain yourself. You know, like you can do it just for fun, and that is just as valid. Yeah. And so I feel like, to me, those are some of the values of using trends versus creating longer form content, which is still just as valuable, if not more. But trends can really be used with purpose for those things.
Yeah, I know. And trends are designed, like I said earlier, they're designed to engage people in the new thing. Right? Because these things, there's movement in fashion, there's movement in music, there's movement in storytelling, and all these things are only as relevant as the moment. And so it's designed to move us forward and to get us to participate. Because if people want to engage, right? If you go on an app and there's no engagement, what do you want to do? Disappear. But if there's engagement, you're like, want to join the party, right? And then you think, and maybe it pushes you outside your boundary too, because you're like, man, I got to get on this. So your natural inclination as a creator is to think about, how can I reach up into the trends that suit me or connect me with the right people, like you said about the red tights. It connects you, like connects like, right? Like attracts like. And so it connects you to the people that you want to be engaged with, because you might see somebody on the street wearing your red tights. You go, hey, and then you start a conversation, then you find that she's doing something similar. And before you know it, you're friends. And so it really does connect you to people.
We're talking about all the good stuff about trends right now, but people should also approach trends with caution,
right,
and not make trends their entire brand.
Yes.
You know, and I want to talk a little bit more about why you should approach trends with caution and what some of the risks are of using trends too.
Sure.
Because I feel like, as good as they can be, you need to understand how to find balance. Would you personally make trends your entire brand?
No.
How come?
I would say lack of originality, maybe. It shows that you rely on other people to help you to define your work and your voice. And maybe if you get on every trend, you lose your voice, because like, who are you as an artist? Who are you as a creator? And if you get on the wrong trends, it's like, am I only doing this to get likes? Am I only doing this to, that's what I was saying. Choose the right trends that actually help build your brand, that actually help tell your story. So if it does go viral, you go, that is in line with who I am. Because you don't want someone to follow you for the wrong thing and then come back to your feed and be like, there's nothing else here that I'm enjoying. You want, so say like a comedian, he's funny or she's funny and it goes viral. Then you go see their other stuff and there's no comedy on the page. You're like, I'm not going to follow this. They're a one-hit wonder. And so I think you really want trends that are aligned with your brand, that if people do find you, they can come back and say, I really like this person, I want to follow that. But if you go for the wrong reasons, you lose your voice. You aren't authentic to yourself. Maybe you're not pushing yourself creatively. And you just are not defining who you really are on these apps.
And you were quick to say no as well. And why is that?
I think I mirror what Scott's saying. There's like, maybe you can articulate it better than I can, but there's something kind of icky about when you go to a profile and it's only trends. Like right away, is there something kind of strangely inauthentic about it? And maybe it's similar to what Scott was saying in the sense that like there is no like voice there. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like I look at trends very much like an auxiliary. It's that like, it's like you should use them and they're an important piece of content, but if it's like your only content, that's boring to me. Like I go to somebody's profile, I'm like, there's no, like I want to know who you are. And as much as you can even put your spin on trends, like unless you have your own unique content as well, there's not an audience for you.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think there's an audience for somebody that only just does trends.
This is it. And it doesn't define you as an original creator. It doesn't help you stand out from the noise. And people really, you want to be a trendsetter ultimately, a trend participator, sure, but you don't want to be behind the trend, because when you're behind the trend, it just makes you look like you don't really know what's going on. When it comes to your own voice, your own brand, you kind of want to lead the way. Like remember there's that book, The Tipping Point, which was all about trends and understanding being on the front foot of it and not at the end of it, because that's where things move needles. It's when you're part of things that are actually pushing things forward versus like being behind, you know, like you have your early adopters. If people want to build social media apps or any kind of brand or story, they go to the early adopter first. Because if the early adopter's doing it, it's like you might wear something that is like, man, that's I'm just not used to seeing that. And then a year later, everybody's wearing it and it feels natural. It feels cool, you know? And then before you know it, it's not cool to be wearing that anymore because the new thing. And so often early adopters or trendsetters do have to stick their neck out a bit and be a bit vulnerable because they have to be willing to risk being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And that's the thing of a creator, is being like, I'm going to do this stuff. I remember Morgan Harper-Nichols talked about this when she switched her feed to be more like poetry based. And she said she lost so many followers. And then she said, but then eventually it picked up and then she got traction. And then she defined her voice in this whole niche and then built a whole business that expanded. But she had to be willing to take the risk and she had to be willing to take the failure and be willing to be misunderstood. And I think that if you really want to lead the way, not everyone's going to jump on it right away. Right? But you got to be committed to the craft, committed to it, and then be like, before you know it, you're a trendsetter. And you have to be willing to stick your neck out there.
And to look at the other side of that, I think there are some really big creators, specifically on TikTok, who blew up massively, like tens of millions of followers, specifically only for following trends. And it was really good because they got tons of views really fast. We can if you want.
Addison Rae, hashtag where's Addison?
And even like Charlie D'Amelio.
But where to be found?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. She just launched a brand.
I heard this.
Have you seen this brand?
No.
Would you buy from this brand?
No.
Would you buy from a creator? You, for example, would you buy from a creator who has 10 million followers, but they only post trends? You don't know too much about them other than they're a really good dancer.
Not a chance.
Not even that good of a dancer. Let's face it.
Yeah, because why? Why wouldn't you? What are you looking for when you're looking to buy something from a person?
Authority in a certain niche. They bring an authoritative voice to that, then absolutely, I'm gonna consider them. Like there's trust there, right? Because
the value of the product. The product actually is good,
right?
You know,
True.
because this is what I've heard about D'Amelio. She launched the makeup brand. Is it makeup?
I honestly don't even know,
but whatever
because I
it is,
didn't even care to look.
Whatever it is, bombed.
Yeah.
And they said it bombed. I don't know if you follow that guy who does like the marketing reports. Like he comes up and he like...
Be better.
Yeah, be better. Okay, yeah, he assessed D'Amelio and he assessed Noah Beck's underwear line or whatever it is. And he gave marketing feedback about this stuff. He goes, just because you're a big creator and you put your brand, your name behind it, doesn't mean it's going to sell, because people don't trust the product, or they're not really in the product. They're there to make money, right? And people say, oh, if you sell this, everyone's going to buy it, but it's not actually a good product. And so I've seen this too, where, you know, the big TikTokers that have blown up, that have launched brands that have bombed.
I mean, it goes back to a much wider conversation about celebrity endorsement in general. And I think like we can all think of really amazing celebrity endorsed products, and then also think of like things that have kind of bombed. And usually it comes back to like the person who they found doesn't have an authoritative voice whatsoever in like the brand in which they paired it with. And I think, Charlie, I would love to know what the brand, like what the product is that she dropped, because
Let's find out.
That's
like
if
it was like, if I think of Charlie, if I'm in her boardroom thinking about like what brand should we drop for Charlie, it has to have something to do with TikTok. Because that's who
dance, maybe.
Or dance, sure.
Yeah.
That's a good call too.
Yeah.
But like there's a very limited list of things where she would see success in.
And that's the thing, it wasn't. It didn't have to do with TikTok, and it didn't have to do with dancing.
Totally.
And I think that not having that individual voice, had she, say Charlie really branched off while she was getting really big, and say her product, are you able to see what it is, Scott?
No, I can't find it.
Okay.
But they're saying that they talk bad about
They've
things
scrubbed
that they
the
promote.
internet of the product.
Yeah, they
Who knows,
scrubbed it.
maybe.
I know. Mark Zuckerberg has
The
been working
Illuminati
over. This is why
scrubbed
Meta
it
went
off.
down yesterday. He was scrubbing.
Oh no. But anyways, what I was going to say is the importance of still ensuring that you have an individual and unique voice in your personal brand is so important beyond trends.
Right.
And I think that there are ways that they can work together. I think that there are ways you can do that without trends at all. But I think if you are going to dive into using trends, you still at the end of the day need to remember, what am I? Like, who am I? Who am I trying to be? How am I connecting with my followers, with my audience? And how am I building that trust? How do I create an engaged community? And
yeah, no, I agree with that. And I do think that we saw, like in the early days, we saw these TikTokers blow up. And let's face it, they were pushed by an algorithm because TikTok, once again, was trying to get people engaged in an app. So they found particular people and they probably networked with them and said, we're going to blow you up on this app because we want you to set the trend. Here's the kind of content we want on this app. So you dance, we'll blow it up.
I feel like it was Vine though. Like that's kind of played into the story too, right? Well, like why the creators blew up, like why that defined the like that trend idea in TikTok in the beginning was that a lot of these people came from Vine, where it was just like create goofy, funny videos, and that kind of defined the culture. So I feel like that plays into it too a little bit, where it's like.
But I'm saying these people didn't blow up on purpose. TikTok made them blow up because they were probably in cahoots telling them what kind of content they wanted to see. Like they would say, do this dance or do this and we'll push it out. And then everybody's doing it. I want to be Addison Rae. I want to be Noah Beck. I want to be Charli D'Amelio. And if you can put a carrot in front of people's face, you have people like saying, I want to be the next big thing because they're seeing like maybe that will be me. Maybe that will be my story. And it's not going to be you, but the hope that it could be you is what keeps people following trends and keeps people participating. And then what the apps do is they give some people, there's a new rising star. Well, maybe I could be the next podcast host. Like, what's her name? Call her daddy or whatever. Maybe I can be her. And so everyone has a podcast, right? But the algorithm's only going to make so many superstars and everybody else is a pool of like carrot chasers. That's my opinion.
No, it's a hot take.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take.
There it is.
Yeah.
How do you get people to create content? You keep them hungry. You
We're
keep
all
them
just
wanting
carrot
the success.
chasers.
If I become a billionaire after my first post, well, I'm stopping posting. But if I have to reach for it, I'm going to dig deeper. I got to figure this out. I got to figure out the trends. I'm going to keep hitting until something hits. This is what they do to us. They're users and abusers.
It is true. And actually, it's funny because I feel like even though as scary as it can be trying to start a trend yourself, because it's not a trend when you're trying to start it. Like you're just putting out a random piece of content at the end of the day. Like you can say I'm trying to start a trend, but it's not a trend until people start doing it.
This is it.
I've had some of my most viral, specifically on Instagram, most viral videos were pieces of content that weren't trends that became trends.
Right.
And so
Trendsetter.
at the same time, I'm not a trendsetter.
But remember the bucket hat? You
to
tried to bring back the bucket hat.
I tried.
We didn't buy it.
Technically-
It
Hey,
didn't
some
work?
some people liked the bucket hat.
It had a very small
Did you
window.
try to bring the bucket hat
I
back?
tried.
I love that.
Yeah, it was good. But at the end of the day, don't be scared to try something different just
Right.
because everybody else is doing something else.
This is it.
You know? And don't be scared to branch off and fail time and time again.
It's
because
vulnerable, though.
It only takes one time for it to get picked up.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
How
So-
do you create trends?
You just, I don't know. I don't really have a method to that. Sometimes
You have to have the higher ups
Sometimes,
in your corner.
like-
No.
Yes, I believe in this.
There's got to be
There's people
some
in a boardroom.
strategy,
I'm telling you right
Yeah,
now.
like
Creating-
sometimes I'll have a
We are
certain
puppets on a
feeling.
string.
No, this is what I've done. Like for the ones that I did, sometimes I'll have like a certain feeling or thought that I feel like lots of people can relate to. Often it's a thought that I feel like people could relate to. Like, oh, I feel like people could really relate to this moment that I'm experiencing here right now. But I haven't seen people talking about it online. So I'll go and like listen to my playlist and pick out a song that I love that day. You know, like something, it doesn't have to be a trending audio, but it's like, okay, what kind of music fits that feeling? And then I'll just put it together. I'll find a way to communicate that feeling. Usually it's in text on a video. Sometimes I'll show exactly what it is. And I'll just put it out there and hope that people relate. And 99% of the time, people don't. But if 1% of the time
1%.
people do,
I think another way to create trends or whatever is to find a pain point that is in people. Because if it's a pain point in you, it probably
and
is
that's
with
often
others.
what it was for me. And
Yes.
when I say have a thought that I feel like people can relate to, it's often a pain point.
Right.
Like it's something that's a frustration, but at the same time, there's a little bit of a comedic factor in it. Like
Yes.
I'm like, it sucks, but it's hilarious at the same time. Like,
Yes,
and
like remember Show Me the Life Hack? Remember that trend? Because everyone had a life hack that they were just dying to share. And then someone said, show me the life hack. Everyone's like, I got a life hack. And then they chimed in on it. So I do think it's about identifying pain points. And if it's a frustration for you, someone else is going to be like, I relate to that. And they're going to connect and engage. And then they might respond and create the same thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, you don't need to be following 100% what other people are doing in order to still
it's a good
find
balance.
success. And
Follow,
it is about
lead,
finding that
participate.
balance. Absolutely.
Yeah. Follow, lead, participate. Some things I participate in, some things I follow in, some things I lead in and come out of left field and be like, that's, wacky, but I think it's a good balance.
Yeah.
I find a good balance.
Can we talk about the balance
That's
of
fine.
like
Let's talk about the
Definitely.
the balance between like how many trends should I be doing versus how much of my own content should I be doing and that kind of thing?
And I feel like there's not a concrete answer that is right or wrong. I think it absolutely has to do with the type of content you're putting out, the type of content, or how often you're putting out that content, like what your daily cadence is. Like some people, if you post once a week, you probably don't want every post like once a week to be a trend, but if you're posting every single day, like something that I would do is I try to at least hit one trend a week, and it might not be a ton. There are some people who do a trend a day, but because they're putting out 5 videos a day, they can handle that. But I would say like at least 10 to 20% of my content is probably trends, and they're trends with a purpose. I never post a trend just to post a trend, just to try to fit in. I always have a purpose with my trend.
Okay, walk me through the purpose.
So this is kind of like when I was talking about why I would do a trend before. Often it's to direct people. My main goal with trends is to direct people to my evergreen content.
Right. Yeah.
So that might be a video where I'm talking to the camera for 3 minutes, where it's harder to get people to sit and watch you. But in the trend, I might do something where I direct people, go check out this other video.
Go look at this video.
And I'll use a trending audio or something like that. Sometimes I'll use a trend just because I know it'll go super viral. Like sometimes, I'm trying to think of an example. If I post something that I know will get people commenting, I will use a trending audio to do that so that I get a whole bunch of people viewing my page, clicking into my page to like give their 2 cents. But then at the same time, even if they went to my page for one video that might not be related to my other content, they're already on my page and now maybe they can be exposed to my existing content. Does that make sense what I'm trying to explain?
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes I do it just to show personality because I think I personally want to come across on social media as showing that I'm not just an educator or I'm not just like a person who talks about hair, a person who talks about travel. Like I want to show all of these different pieces of my life. Sometimes I just want to show personality. Yeah. And so I'll use that trend to show that I can be goofy,
or make people laugh, or people connect with an audience at a deeper level. So they go, there's more to this girl than just some girl who's doing her hair.
Yeah.
She's got substance, she's got wisdom, or she's funny, she's quirky.
Yeah.
Because you are a bit quirky actually. And so, but I think that makes you more relatable. And I don't think that necessarily comes through through a reel with no audio or whatever. And so when people actually go, okay, Chloe's actually quite funny and fun, it makes you more like people connect with you. Yeah.
And in a way, I'll use trends as filler content because to me, trends are, for me, because I have a flow, trends are easy to identify. They're really quick to make. And it's an easy given piece of content where I don't have to think too much. Right. I don't have to come up with something that's
You've just said that they're
original.
easy to make. So are you just making them in your room?
Yeah, I'll often just make them in my room.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I can do that.
Or I'll take an existing video off of my camera roll.
Because the thing is, a lot of times I follow mountain adventure. People outside
No, you don't have to do that.
Like, what do I have to do?
Take, for example, here's an example. There was a trending audio on TikTok. This was last week, I think. And the trending audio is the song The YMCA, but like it starts singing and it trails off, like it cuts off. And it's like, and then it goes into this like Tchaikovsky, like really sad music. You might have heard the audio. So it starts
at like a party and goes into a funeral.
Yeah, exactly. And so I immediately heard that and I was like, that audio is gold. Like that audio is so funny. Like I can immediately see myself creating a video to it. I don't know what. So I went into my camera roll and I'm like, what could I do that can fit this reel that still relates to my content? And I found this video of my mom on an airplane that there was no window seat she was seated at the window seat, but there was no window.
Right.
And so it like pans over and it starts with like the YMCA music and then it shows to where the window is and then it goes into the sad music because there's no window and my mom looks sad. And then
Did you tell her to look sad?
No, she just was sad.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah, she just was sad. So anyways, don't sit in row 37 on the Dreamliner planes because there's no window. In that instance, when I identified that was a trending audio, I didn't want to have to fully make a video. So I just went into the archives and I'm like, what fits this?
This is what I was saying earlier. You might already have something in your back pocket.
So you might already have something that can fit a trend and you can recycle videos to fit multiple trends. And lots of people do that.
Yeah, same video. Although TikTok's coming against that now. They're flagging the old videos and saying it can't be pushed out on the For You page. They're onto us.
Well, just modify them slightly.
I know. Well,
just flip the video.
Okay. See, we need to know
Another
this.
hot
I know.
take.
Because I had videos and like I posted it again and said
But-
no. I think it's about finding what works for you. Now, you said you try to do a trend a week. Actually, I've never actually thought about doing a trend a week. So now I'm thinking maybe I should be more intentional. But you know what I do? I Google search Instagram every day and to see what's happening with the app. Because you often hear like the Adam Mosseri says, we're working on this and working on that. So for me, I'm looking at what are the new key features or functions that I can jump on.
That's a good one.
And start using them right away because the app and the algorithm likes people to participate in the new things. So I like to know what's going on with Instagram because I'm so active on it. And I'm sure some people probably Google TikTok.
Yeah.
But just like, what are the new features? What should you be doing? And getting some information that's already out there.
Yeah, and if there are new features, I highly encourage you to use them because
Yes.
I was a part of both the TikTok creator program and the Facebook one. And basically, like from all of the meetings that I've ever done, the number one thing they say is use the new features because they want to push people using those new features on the app.
What's going on with the horizontal? Is it still?
I
on
think
TikTok?
that's rolled out
Thing,
right
or-
now only to specific
I have
creators.
it on
Because
TikTok.
on TikTok,
Yeah, I have it.
yeah, my take on that, I don't know this for sure. This is a prediction, but I think that they're trying to promote people doing that so that they have ad space above and below your video. That eventually they're going to start
I
rolling
have a
out ads for.
different,
Hot
I have a
take.
different reason.
What do you think?
I think it's because they want original content because I've been posting content reused, like I said, and it gets flagged, says this can't be on the For You page because it flags it as already shared content.
Really?
So I think what it is because if people are creating vertical, where does it go? It goes on TikTok, Reels, and Shorts. But if you create long form, or if you create landscape, where is it going to go?
YouTube?
YouTube or TikTok. I can't repurpose that on Reels. And so I think it's to separate themselves from Reels because they don't want the same. They don't want people going, here's my Reel. They don't want TikTok feeling like it's just a Reels afterthought or Reels being, you know what I mean? So I think it's to force creators to create an aspect ratio and then go, I'm creating original content for TikTok.
I
Yeah.
hate it.
That's what I think.
I hate watching it. Like it comes up on my feed, and I'm like, this is not right.
Doesn't bother
I
me.
do too. I hate
Is
it.
it really? You hate it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I treat it like a podcast often. If there
Right.
will be something, like I'll use it only for the audio and then I'll set my phone aside as I do my makeup or something.
Yeah.
And then I like it because it's a long video, like often they're 10 minutes
Prime
long.
example, Risa Tisa.
Have you been listening to that?
I didn't, but do you know about Risa Tisa?
I'm on part 24 right now.
Wow. So this
Oh,
lady.
is this the long one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I
How
did
long
hear
did
about
she
this.
record each clip?
A few minutes.
Like, was
at
she
least,
pushing
like
it to the? Was she
5 to
pushing
10.
it? Yeah, she was
Yeah.
pushing it to the max.
Yeah.
And so, but she basically, no one has ever done this before, where she started a story
Yeah.
with 50 TikToks, and you had to go part 1, part 2, and it became a viral sensation. And now she's been on the TV show. I heard Netflix is reaching out to her to make
Oh,
it
good.
into a movie
Oh, I love
or
that.
something. I just started finding people that were given the highlights, and I
Yeah.
was like watching the highlights.
Well,
So, like,
I haven't watched them because I don't want to spoil it for
Oh
myself.
no! I was like, just give it to me. But that's the example of a trend. It's someone who was like, I'm going to do something so out of pocket, and I'm going to tell my story, and I'm not going to
In
rush
this
it.
style.
Was it
Yeah.
filmed in horizontal, or
No,
No,
was it?
hers are filmed,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Right.
in
Nothing to
the
do with
style
the
that you would
horizontal.
like
Okay,
watching
okay.
them. And now I can almost guarantee that there's going to be an influx of
Yes.
people trying to do what she did.
100%.
I can almost guarantee it.
But the thing that worked for her is 1, good story. 2, kept it interesting. 3, good storyteller. And 4, it was just like, I think relatability. Like everyone loves drama. They love the
reality TV
Yeah, it
on
was a
TikTok.
reality
And
show.
she
So I saw someone
also-
post.
yeah.
Someone post. Canceled all my Saturday night plans. Instead, I'm watching Risa Tisa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it then became a thing that people were not only consuming, but something people were talking about. And then the trend, and then naturally another trend to jump on is when you see a trend happen, talk about that trend. You know, chime in on that trend, give your opinion about that trend. And I feel like those kind of videos also go viral because people are like, I just want to talk about it, love it or hate it, jump in on it, and give your hot take about a trend. Give a hot take.
Hot takes.
Risa
Hot takes.
Tisa.
Risa Tisa.
It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
You're on episode 24.
24.
Out of-
Wow.
Out of how many?
50, 50
50.
or something.
Yeah, I think it's 50.
No, but I think it's great. I also think another note on that, I'm talking about how you can find trends. There are people that you can follow as well that are trend predictors, and oftentimes they're very accurate.
Yes.
You know, they're those people that are like hyper involved in the world.
Their
Like,
ears to the ground.
yeah, and they are picking up on every little change in everything.
As soon as I
forecasters.
started posting on TikTok more, I started getting a lot more like this is how to make your content go viral.
Oh,
I started
that's-
fed
This are the three
all
things
the,
you need to do.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
what
all
you
the-
need to add to your content. This is why you're not growing. This is why you're stuck in the 200 view jail. You get these ones? The 200 view jail?
Had
Yep.
those videos.
No, I'm done with the
Absolutely.
200 view
But
jail.
some of them are like the trend setting ones where they're like talking about, and it's interesting you say most of them are right.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know?
I think that they're
They're being told by the people in the big room. I told you
well,
this.
some of them do have meetings with people at TikTok and
Yes.
Meta and all of
They
that.
have the big room people telling
yeah,
them.
but sometimes they are just really aware of those slight cultural shifts or slight shifts that you might see on social media. Like, for example, there's this one girl I follow named Coco Moco, and she has made a career off of accurately predicting rising stars. And
Whoa.
like, she is just a really observant person, I think.
Did she
There was
mention our
you were
names? Are we
talking
the
to
rising
Mike and
stars?
Mitzi about futurism.
Futures. They said
Right?
they have the futurist.
That's like an actual. You can go to school.
Yeah,
to be
she
a
said that you have a
futurist.
futurist, and this is an actual degree. If you go
It's a
listen
skill,
to that
yeah.
podcast on the Socality show, on this one on with Mike and Mitzi, they talked about a futurist as an actual like degree in university where people are trained to study forecasting of what the trends are, what to do, what not to do, and to be able to lean into that. And so I think with social media, like, we see that
Yeah.
for sure.
But we are trying to be mindful of time. So before we end this episode, I want to ask you guys, if you had one piece of advice for people wanting to participate in trends, what would it be? Scott, why don't you lead
I'd
us?
say just find the trends that you know work for you, that you can achieve, do with confidence, but maybe look at some trends too that might push you a little bit outside your comfort zone. Don't play it too safe, but don't get so out of control that it throws off your audience.
That's a good one. Brayden.
I think I would say like find trends that really feel authentic to you. I mean, I think like there's always room for you to hop on the trends that are just like random and funny, but finding the ones that are like that really resonate with you, that you get a chuckle out of, that you really enjoy the visual aspect of it, you think are funny, you love the audio, because ultimately, like at the end of the day, you're only going to be motivated to create the content that that resonates with you and that you want to share with your audience. So that's what I would say.
That's a good one.
And for you?
And for me, I would say don't overthink it. You know, trends come and go so fast that if you spend all of this time overthinking, like, is this perfect? Is this going to be really good? Is this going to resonate? You're going to miss the trend altogether. Like, just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Do what feels organic to you. And at the same time, put that focus that you would have, or that moment of like, I don't know, concentration, put that into the content that really matters to you, which is the stuff that comes from your own voice and is your own unique, personal, creative content.
Love it.
Love that.
Well
and
done.
if you
Thanks.
want to be my 256th follower on TikTok,
You're killing it on
head
there.
over to at Braden Dam.
Brayden is your next rising star on TikTok.
It is.
There we go.
Official.
He's got some
Knighted.
cooking stuff.
Some
Made it.
cooking stuff, some
all
fashion
good.
stuff. All
That was
the
fun.
goodies.
Yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. Have an amazing day, and until next time, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.